Here's the chief. He's finally got an opportunity to mold a little bit. We had a bit of a, well, it's not a stray. He's a stray now, but he's actually, somebody tied him to the tree with a big old thing of water and a big old thing of food and a blanket to lay on. But he chewed through the leash, or the leash broke, one of the two. And he's skittish, very skittish, looks just like my ghosty. Oh, and that's where it took me. It took me to Ghosty. Ghosty was my very first, my personal first rescue. And what got me, you could say, started in the rescue. I wanted a lab, and I went to get a lab puppy and thought I was getting a really good deal, which I believed that I was at the time. But when I went to go pick out my puppy, it became very, very evident that this was a puppy mill. There were a bunch of Yorkies down in the basement, half going nuts, and she tossed food into a trash can lid and said, "Grab the puppy you want while they're eating." And Ghosty was one that did not come to the lid. He stayed back and was like, you could tell he was kind of traumatized, like, ah. And so he was the puppy I took, and I proceeded to call every single week. I made a call to the Humane Society until they, it took, I think it was 6 months. It was 3 months to get timid, so I think it took 6 months before they finally had enough casework or whatever to shut the puppy mill down. But Ghosty was the inspiration for that, my first activist type of thing. And boy, that was many, many moons ago. And that was after I had gotten out of the military, after I had done my time, and then realized I wasn't going to make active duty because my innards were messed up and I no longer qualified for active duty. So anyway, and that began a whole other journey. So the journeys that we take. But anyway, yeah, there was a black lab pup back there, male, looks to be a black lab pitty, definitely has a bully breed in him, not a full-blooded lab, but just as timid as Ghosty was. Ghosty was a bit, he gained his confidence later, being with me, and my dad used to tease him with putting a hat on or picking up a weed eater, looked like a stick type of thing. And Ghosty would turn from this really sweet dog to a barking, fur up, I'm ready to attack you. And that's where we realized that there must have been a man in the household. I'm sure that there was, and he probably wasn't quite so kind, probably wore a baseball cap. Anyway, so this dog is very kind of skittish, not sure what's going on. I'm sure he's like, what am I doing here? Where did my owners go? Why did they tie me up to this tree and leave me? Oh, yeah, don't get me started there. Anyway, wow, see, that took me to some times. And Ghosty was, His full name was Flashdance Ghosty. Flashdance Ghosty, because I loved to dance, and I had gotten into the dancing studio, Arthur Murray Dancing Studio, and became a dance instructor, ballroom dance instructor. And that's where I did my second rescue, which was Timid. And Timid was, when I first saw her outside the window at the Arthur Murray Dance Studio, there was a creek bed back behind there with some woods. It was just a little small space of like some wilderness there in that area of Kettering. And Timid was, I saw her in the parking lot, and I'm like, was that a little deer? Is that a baby deer? It was kind of the colorings that she had. And then I realized it was too small to be a fawn. Fawns are actually a little bit bigger than that. And when I stepped outside, she went running off into the woods. That's when I realized, I'm like, that's a dog. And so contacted the animal shelter, and they had done their attempts to set up a cage, a trap, and to no avail. And so I continued to put food and water out there, and this is where I learned from my veterinarian moons ago when we were trying to find our family dog, Herbie, to place your scent onto it, rub your scent onto it and keep it in the same space, do the feeding at the same time. And so that's what I proceeded to do. And she stuck around. And we kind of built a little bit of this relationship, but could not get close to her. So they said, well, let us go ahead and set up a trap and see if we can catch her. So they rented a little trap to me, and I set it up, and within like 3 nights, I had gotten her. And of course, when I picked up the trap, she bit me. So from that day forward, I had began doing some rescue, and was just kind of gentled into it a couple years later. So it was me and Ghosty and Timid, and later came some pitties, and that's when I began my pit bull rescue. So I can spot a bully breed. And anyway, got me off on that, but a little bit of a story. So I find this interesting coming up as we're getting ready to walk and step, and we're peeling our layers and listening to Mother Earth, listening to nature, listening to the higher powers that be, that what is our next highest good step, that calls our hearts, makes our hearts sing, gets those uju woojus, the love juices going, not the anger, not the resentment, not all of that, but the love juices going, that would serve the collective as well as ourselves, and that perfect marriage, you could say, between the feminine that gets our juices going and the masculine action that needs to be taken. And many times it's a day by day, step by step process. And we've been in that training. Many of us, at least I know from my generation, we have been in that training, and it's been re-looked at, revisited, revamped, rejuvenated, renewed. We've learned a lot from this past snake year. We're not quite fully out of the full skin yet, but we're getting ready to move into Fire Horse. And Fire Horse energy is, buckle up in that saddle, because we're going for a ride. And we need that still point, be able to get to that still point in these little microcosms that have been coming forward within our macrocosms, and the bigger collective, going, okay, how are we going to work this? How are we going to respond? Those are some nice thorns there, Chief. So it was a beautiful ceremony this morning, a beautiful honoring of and kind of sharing some of our prayers and our vibes with what has taken place in Minneapolis with ICE, and that being kind of raw, and yet coming to that place of, I know we turned that word apathy into something evil, just like all things, the Gregorian, colonialism, the whole 9 yards, the patriarchy turned that word evil, and it's not evil. Apathy comes from that, you take that way back. It was actually an honored state by many monks, by we love people like Buddha and that, or it, like Gandhi, like even those ones where they, you hear something, they see something, and yet in that moment, yes, they have the compassion. That's why they do, and who they are. The compassion is there, but they don't lose their heads. They stay in that place of love, and they keep moving forward with the action pieces, staying focused on the bigger picture, and not spiraling out of control in that anger, that resentment, that going down a rabbit hole that is not productive and actually can make things worse. So it's that place of apathy. It pulls all of those Trinity pieces together. It's like, wow, I really, reading the Elders' meditation and being there and listening and kind of going, okay, we knew we were built for these times. We knew it was going to be tough, but we've also have been given all of the tools. And if we don't have the tools, we'll be given the tools in the moment to be that Buddha, that Gandhi, that Mother Teresa, that whatever our action call is going to be, and on pulling our unity together and facing whatever we're going to be facing. And yeah, but doing it in that from that place of love. That doesn't mean that we don't get called into certain types of action once in a while, but it is not from a place of, well, what they did, so to speak. Okay. I'm feeling the need to move forward here. Come on, Chief. Come on, Chief. He can turn it on and he can turn it off. Thanks, Mom, for teaching me how to turn on and off what I was just doing, which is a rambling, a brain fucking, she would call it. But yeah, staying in the moment, resting. We're still in that space of pulling that snake skin off, so not quite ready. We're going to need, and many of us have been hearing that, you know. It's in the stars even. I heard it with my astrology, you know, rest. It's you right now. We're in the space of you get this action piece, you know, you get this energy and this inspired action, and you act upon it, and then all of a sudden that energy drains and it's like, oh. And this has been kind of an on and off thing for months actually. But has been very, very prominent, very, very prominent, especially in the past month to 2 months. And it eased up there for a little while. It was like whoosh for a few days, and now it's back. And it's been back for me for at least for a couple of days. So, oh, he's doing his thing here, and where we move into this space. Cautious and close. And as you can tell, he has lost his bell. I really, really miss his bell. I'm not sure how it came off and have not been able to locate it. So I get to dismantle a little bit of my spirit prayer pouch, and I'll put that bell on him because I have that little Independence White Cat Independent bell in my new tail for this new beginning, and she's in there real nice, so I can do the gifting piece and pay it forward. I need a bell on him. I've always had a bell on my animal companions. Of course, Sugarfoot didn't like it. My white pony. He didn't particularly care for it. And he kept getting caught on the fence with it, so he would be the exception. Oh, yeah, this is a really good wind coming out of the Big Bear Lake area. That's some cold air. Hey, Chief. It's not too bad when you're tucked in here with the green. I love the plant animals. Yes, I do. I love you, plant animals. And in the sun, you step into the shade part, you can feel the moisture in the air. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, had a beautiful session with, I think I shared that, the Yuma Vet Center, and knowing the next steps. And yeah, this has been a pretty good roundup. I've gone on long enough here. I'm going to return to the music and our obstacle course here. our beautiful morning exercises that just, we haven't had them for a couple days. And I can definitely feel the difference. And so then we're gonna push through, and of course I am in Mexican lands, India lands, and even in India it was like 1 hour to 2 hour lunches. They would take turns shutting down different places, and everybody would get their naps. They'd have their lunch and take their nap. Lay in Shavasana for a while, let the food digest, and then move on. So I definitely feel that in me, and we are working that. So getting that time and space in. Okay, got a dog, gotta go.